As I slowly rose back into consciousness, I let out a long yawn, watching the faint streams of sunlight permeate my room. I'm still feeling a little drowsy, so I suggest, why does my chest feel so warm? Maybe because Yuri's there? As my eyes take on the sight in front of me, the memories of last night come flooding back. The cuts, the fear on her face, the plea to stay with me overnight. One of her sleeves has pushed up slightly, affording me a sight I'd rather not have access to. Seeing such marks on Yuri's pale arm, some of which still look fairly new, I wince, as though it's my own flesh which bears the scars. Why? How? So many questions. A small sound up from Yuri pulls me away from the flurry of thoughts in my head. It's just like a content sigh. If I look closely, I can make out a small smile on her face, as she clings to me a little harder. Aww. A wave of happiness courses through me, which having seen her scars again feels a little foreign. Still, it feels incredible to have someone you love cuddle up against you in their sleep. Something about the physical closeness during such an intimate moment. Ah, the music. I know it's just an iteration of the main theme. God, it's so well done. I reach out and gently stroke the top of her head. She smells faintly of lavender. Hair soft and silken. It's a given that someone like Yuri takes care of herself, I suppose. With no parents around. Is that when she started? No. I don't want this moment ruined by anything. We're gonna talk about it, all about that stuff later. I just want to see her happy. So for now, I just focus on the smell and softness of her hair, along with the feel of her head on my chest. That's so cute. I don't know how long we stayed in that peaceful embrace, but eventually Yuri's tears, offering me a smile as she rises from my chest rather. Rubbing her eyes as she slowly sits up, she lets out a small yawn. Just a silence for a moment. You were up before I was? Yeah. Hard to believe, right? Don't worry, I find it just as hard to believe as you do. I attempt that humor is weak. You relax as well, but it's easy to tell that it's a little forced. There's no denying the tension. The elephant in the room may have been averted while we were sleeping, but there's no escape now. No, don't ask her. She just woke up. You don't ask someone that kind of question once they wake up. So Yuri, I was wondering. She abruptly gets out of bed and heads for the door. Yet at a glance in my direction, she speaks. Her assertive tone surprises me. Why are you being assertive, Yuri? Let's make breakfast, Midas. But, please. She turns to face me, and while she isn't making eye contact, I can read the message on her face. Not yet. Wearily, I climb out of bed and follow her down the hallway, wondering how the rest of the day will go. Are we going to get her clothes? Is she gonna move permanently with us? I hope that'll be the case. To say that breakfast wasn't a comfortable affair would be quite the understatement. Yuri wasn't making eye contact and even stopped frequently to ensure her sleeves were completely covering her wrists. Every time she picked up a knife to cut food, I couldn't help but wince. My mind was doing me no favors. Has she cut herself with a knife? Last night she used a razor blade. Does she have a stash of them at home? Or is her cutting habit related to her knife collecting hobby? The tension has grown tenfold since she woke up. I'm desperately trying to think of a way to break the uneasy silence, but I can't come up with anything. Diplomacy can only get me so far. How am I meant to even approach the topic? I've never had a friend who's self-harmed before. I stare into the last remaining crumbs of my meal. Eating in silence is proving to be unbelievably awkward. Desperate for something to do, I stand up and head for the sink. At least the prospect of washing up my plate gives me something to focus on. I stand by the sink. Yuri's voice pierces the silence. What do you want to say, Yuri? I'm really sorry. For what? Yeah, for what? She gestures around her. For this. for everything. You have done nothing wrong, Yuri. I dumped the unwashed playing on the sink and walked over to her. She's staring forlornly at the ground. You don't have to apologize for anything. Seriously. Am I the only person who knows? Yes. Sorry if this sounds presumptuous, but... Well, I imagine it must be pretty hard, right? Hard is even an understatement. Poor Yuri. Very much so. It's a little overwhelming. I take one of her hand in mine. She's shaking. It's okay, Yuri. It's okay. Just take your time. There's no rush. She nods. I imagine you probably have a few questions you want to ask. There's no point in trying to beat the bush around here. I mean, I think we have a lot of questions to ask. Yeah, there are. I wince at how direct that sounds. And again, I am really curious, so I can't exactly win you the way yet, can I? She takes a deep breath. What would you like to know? Boy, where do I even begin? How long has she been on morphine for? When did she start cutting? There are so many choices. It's probably best to start with an understanding of her self-harm, though. Well, why do you do it? She closes her eyes and slowly lets the breath out of her through her nose. She's still closing her eyes as she talks. It's a way of coping. It's how we deal with the sadness and self-loathing within. Self-loathing? People have never liked me, Midas. All throughout my life, I've never been accepted. People never understood me, nor did they ever take the time to try to. I've never been particularly sociable. As you can see, I prefer to keep to myself. Now that alone would be too bad. Some people misread the introversion, but combined with my fascination with horror and life collecting hobby, these things combined tend to make people see me as creepy, a freak. An outcast. My heart. That quiet girl in the back doesn't speak too much. The girl was fascinated by macabre. There's no wonder they judged me. So that's why she takes a few deep breaths in an attempt to calm herself down. I didn't realize how difficult this must be for you to talk about. So sorry. Huh? Why are you angry, Yuri? The angry look on her startles me. No! Did you ever apologize for my own shortcomings? What are your shortcomings? I deserve to be weak. But you don't. Why do you even think that? Because, like I said, I was always judged for who I was. Initially, I thought it was everyone else who was wrong. She laughs bitterly. Oh, such arrogance. It wasn't them who were wrong. It was me. In what capacity? How are you wrong, Yuri? But if it were just one person who judged me in such a way, well, I wouldn't be inclined to believe that the problem lied in them. But it wasn't just one person. It was everyone. It gets to a point where you finally realize that it's not them who are the problem. It's you. What do you mean? And again, she isn't right at the moment, so this hurts. It was bad, but I could deal with it because I at least had my parents to help me. Given that I'm the first person who knows about her self-harm, does that mean is reading my mind? Yuri answers that very question. Not even my parents knew. Goodness. That's when it began. I hated keeping myself harm from them. I didn't want them to know. It scared me, enough as it was. I couldn't imagine how much it would scare them. I was terrified when I first tried it. I remember the day it started. Some other students mocked me relentlessly because I stuttered during a class reading. I always used to dread reading aloud. And I remember at lunchtime, I locked myself in one of the bathroom stalls. I didn't mean to cut myself. I just wanted to admire one of my knives. Despite it being a constant reminder of what's wrong with me, just holding something so dear to me was comforting. I gripped it too hard, and that's when I discovered it. The rush. The rush that felt like perfect release. It was tangible, but it was also terrifying. It felt so good, having that physical release. I was in shock. I couldn't believe what I had done. I felt like such a freak. Even I don't know what to say. Words are beyond me at this point. How am I even meant to reply to what I'm hearing? My parents were the only people who ever accepted me for who I was. Even though they didn't know about the self-harm, they never judged me for my tastes in literature, nor did they question my interest in knives. While school was a torment, I sought solace in knowing that no matter how bad it would get, I was safe at home. But now you're not. Fresh tears started to trickle down her face once more, until they died. And just like that, I had lost them, the only support I ever had. I reach out to brush away Yuri's tears. She doesn't move, or anything else to acknowledge that I'm even there. Throughout her heart-wrenching explanation, Yuri had been trying to maintain control over her voice and face. The stuttering and pained expressions that occasionally flickered over her features showed all I needed to know. As I scoop her into my arms, the dam that she's been trying so hard to contain finally bursts. Oh god, this is painful. She sobs unrestrainedly into my chest as her anguished cries fill the room. I miss them so much, Midas. The vision is blurry as she drenches in front of my shirt. The front of my shirt, I mean. I can physically feel her cries on my chest right next to my heart. I want to see them again. I want to stop pretending that the person I'm in the arms of right now is my dad. This is indeed heart-wrenching. There isn't anything I'd give to hear them ask me how my day was. Even if it was awful. Anything at all. Please. My brain is in a frenzy. Say something, Midas. Yuri, it's going to be okay. You're not alone anymore. I'm here. I'm here with you. And I'm never going to leave you. I promise. Oh, God. She looks up with big, wet, purple, puppy eyes. Oh, Yuri. You really mean that? Because I don't know what I'd do if I'd lose you as well, Midas. Of course I mean it. I swear on it. You're my girlfriend and I love you. Even after everything I've just told you. She gestures miserably to her wrist. Even with ease, the venomous disdain in her voice is frightening to hear. I wasn't even sure she was capable of such scorn, negativity. I love you for who you are, Yuri. Which includes everything you hate about yourself. Scars or not, you're my girlfriend, and nothing is going to change that. Oh, Midas. Oh! God, this went from emotional to creepy. God, no. A strange look comes over her face while her breathing grows rapid and fast-paced. Yuri? Are you okay? Are you okay, Yuri? Sorry, This is just too much to take in. Her hand suddenly darts to her wrist. And in that instant, I suddenly realize the situation we're in. Yuri, stay with me. Please. I can't. Yes, you can. Focus on my voice. Look at me. I'm doing my absolute best not to descend into the utter state of panic. For both of our sakes. I can't let her start cutting again. No. God. This is so disturbing to read. I can imagine it. She's tentatively scratching at the flesh of her wrist. She starts off slow, but quickly grows in frequency and intensity. In desperation, I reach for her hand. Yuri, just talk to me. Say something, anything. What's going on in your mind? I'm not sure if asking her to describe the urge is going to help. It could actually be harmful. And I'm finding it hard to think straight. The tiny voice of reason in my head is telling me that distracting her and forcing her to talk to me is the right thing to do. I need a release. Then hug me. Whenever I feel like this, she starts to wrench her hand free from my grip, but there's no way she's getting free. I tilt her head up so she has to make eye contact with me. My body needs the pain. I need the control. Cutting. It helps me make sense of everything. Sense of everything? She swallows and her eyes focus on mine. The physical pain is something tangible that I can actually feel. Something that I can make sense of. When I feel emotionally overwhelmed, I feel so powerless. The cutting helps me regain that control that I desperately need. Sounds really. I know it sounds crazy, but it helps me feel alive. Ah, this is so disturbing. When I'm so mentally overwhelmed, the numbness sits without mercy. So I need something to focus on. That's exactly what the pain serves as. But why do you have to use a blade? Can't you just, I don't know, pinch yourself or scratch? That's not exactly helping, Midas. You have no idea what the urge is like, Midas. Your body screams for that release. Scratching or pinching just will never satisfy that urge. Yuri's breathing slowly grows more regular. She's no longer trying to wrench her hand free from my grasp, so I tentatively let her go, although I remain close, anticipating another attempt. I've never been in the position where I have the urge to cut when I'm around with someone else. Do you still feel the need to cut? Yes, but it's a lot more manageable now, I think. I think I'll be okay. Ah, my god. Am I relieved to hear that? I had no idea how to deal with this. I told you I was a freak. Just because I don't know how to deal with it doesn't mean I don't want to. You're not a freak. You've been through a lot, and cutting happens to be how you deal with the trauma. It's hardly a healthy coping mechanism though, isn't it? Well, no. No, it isn't. That doesn't even need to be said. Okay, so yeah, it isn't a healthy way to cope at all, but either way, I'm glad you told me. Why are you glad, Midas? And more importantly, how could you not think I'm a freak? Because one, you trust me, and two, you're not a freak. I don't know. I don't know why, but I don't see this as a freakish behavior at all. It makes me sad, sure, but it doesn't creep me out. Plus, I like to think I have an open mind, you know? Yuri smiles ruefully at my words. You remind me a little of my father, because he was the one who introduced me to knives, back when I was just a little girl. As eager as I want to learn about her self-harm, I'm grateful that this is an opportunity to discuss something else. The incident just now was just staggering. What were your parents like? Oh, they were wonderful. I could have asked for better. You never told me about how you first got into horror. It's a guess, but was it your parents who introduced you to the genre? After everything that's happened so far today, the genuine smile on her face is truly a sight to behold. It indeed it is. How did you know? I'm psychic. Kidding. I'm just very intuitive. I just had an idea. Why don't you tell me more about them, over a nice cup of tea? I don't know about you, but I'm definitely in the mood for a hot drink. I'd like that a lot. Awesome. Let's get started then. Okay, it's Yuri's theme now, so everything will be okay. Oops, I accidentally skipped it. As I was hoping, the change of topic combined with the relaxing tea has really helped to bring a sense of normality to the day. Of course, the after effects of the morning still linger in the air. Yuri is still on edge, but we're at least able to work around it. enough, me getting into horror actually stemmed completely from chance. What do you mean? Well, one day both of my parents were out. It was a rainy day, so I couldn't go outside. Naturally, I was confined to the house. I was wandering around looking for something new to read. I happened to find a copy of an old ghost story that my father left out, and immediately began reading. Given that the book was for adults, I didn't really understand what was going on, and I was able to get the general gist. When my parents came back, my dad was surprised to see me reading it. Clearly, he didn't expect that I'd like it. I remember how my mother scolded them for being so careless. She didn't like the idea of her younger daughter reading such a dark tale. I remember how Eva tended to be apologetic, but when she was out of sight, she eagerly asked me what he made of the story so far. It was obvious that I didn't really understand, so he offered to read it with me, helping me out with more complex words and explaining the story as it progressed. What's the story about? Must be pretty good if you remember it so well. You see, there's an old Victorian tale about a young governess who was sent to look after a family's young children at their summer home. And there it is, the passionate fire in her eyes, the kind of fervor only seen when Yuri talks about the interest she holds dear to her. At least hits back. How someone could ever shame someone for such a passion. It sickens me how cruel people can be. She begins to see figures of a man and a woman around the house, but the servants of the house deny seeing such figures. Soon the governess learns that their predecessor used to have a relationship with another employee, and before these two died, they spent a lot of time with the children. Given that these figures seem to come and go at will, and haven't been seen by the other employees, she quickly suspects that they are supernatural in nature. I can't quite remember the ending, but I'll never forget is the clever writing. We as readers are never given any concrete answers as to if these figures are real, or merely a figment of her imagination. Was the governess just hallucinating? Did the ghosts of these people really prowl around the house? Sounds to me like she's just imagining it, to be honest. Although it does seem kind of coincidental how the ghosts seem to perfectly match the profile of her predecessor and her lover. Indeed. What's more is that the young boy was revealed to have been expelled, and it's heavily hinted that he did to earn such a punishment was terrible in nature, or what he did to earn such punishment. With such a suspicious outlook, it's natural that the reader tests the children's claims of innocence, especially when the governess asks if they too saw the figures. Ghostly apparitions, creepy, suspicious children. I feel the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. Yeesh, even from Yuri's description, the plot sounds exceptionally gripping. There's a dreamy tone in Yuri's voice as she speaks, and I remember my father encouraged me to question whether the ghosts are real. As a child, I took things at face value. The governess said she saw them, so that was what I believed. But he taught me to approach things from another angle, how to consider other viewpoints. In turn, it helped me broaden my appreciation for such clever writing. And to this day, I still wonder if the ghosts are real. So your analytical approach came from your dad? I suppose you can say that. Yes, he was always methodical and organized in nature, so it's a given that his personality rubbed off on me. I think he'd be really proud of you, Yuri. You shouldn't say that. No. If he could see you now. I knew it would be bad. Tears slowly leaked down her face once more. Would he? I hid so much from him. I pulled her close to me, tenderly caressing her cheeks with my hands. We all have our demons, Yuri. Everyone has things they regret, and things they don't want other people to know. To hell with the people who judge you for the things you like, or your quiet nature, because I love your characteristics. Even if you hate them, I love them. They make you who you are. If you enjoy horror, collecting knives, who has any right to shame you for it? They don't know any better. She gives me a watery smile. Thank you, Midas. You really do mean so much to me, and I'm so glad that we met. Having someone like you in my life is... I can't describe it in words. Wow-wee. Must be tough then if even you can't describe it. Yuri makes a sound that sounds like a mix of a laugh and a sob. Hey Yuri. Yes, Midas? If you don't mind me asking, when did your parents, you know... It's okay, you don't have to answer. Ugh. Yikes. Last February was a car crash. Right. I'm so sorry. It was probably insensitive for me to even ask. It wasn't. I've been keeping a lot of things from you, so it's only fair that I should stop doing that. After all, you're my boyfriend now. Aww. It still feels a little strange to say that. Not in a bad way though. I feel exactly the same way, you know. I still find it hard to believe that such a beautiful, intelligent girl fell for me. I must be the luckiest guy on the planet. Don't be silly, Midas. You have such a big heart. Any girl would be lucky to have you. To be honest, I'm surprised that you and Sayori... are you still jealous? Sayori and I? Yes, given that you were childhood friends, I imagine you would have gotten together with her after seeing her again. She would have been a much better girlfriend too. Look at me, Yuri. It takes a little of coaxing, but eventually she reluctantly makes eye contact. Sayori will always be a wonderful friend of mine. Yes, we have that history together, but I'm not living in the past. You and I have a special kind of connection that I just can't explain. There's something about you that drew me in, all those months ago. But she's so happy, so energetic and bubbly. Wouldn't you rather have a girl like that instead of a broken, miserable mess like me? I don't think you'd get it, but she's just as miserable, or even more miserable than you, Yuri. At least from my guess. I shake my head. That's not how I see things, Yuri. Don't try to compare yourselves to other girls. And vice versa, that goes for the boys too. Surprisingly, she doesn't back down. Answer the question, Midas. I stare at her, both confused and surprised. I'd rather have you. Even though I'm an ugly freak with these horrible scars all over me? Huh? This is a choice? Okay, let's have a little thinking. I bet if I said, your scars are beautiful, she'll get mad. She might get mad because she'll go no, she's not, no, I need to do this because she's in the state that she's not really okay at the moment, so. Plus, I think you're beautiful would be a better compliment that your scars are beautiful. Because when you say you're beautiful, it's both the ugly parts and the good parts, but when you say your scars are beautiful, it might go off as what's bad in you is beautiful. So I'll just go with what my gut says. Okay, good. Yuri, either with or without your scars, you're beautiful, and nothing will ever change that, okay? No one will ever be able to convince me otherwise. I chose you for a reason. Never forget that. I don't know. It's not that easy. I know it isn't. Just try to remember, okay? I'll try my best, Midas. You don't look particularly convinced. It's not that I doubt the integrity of your words. I just spent my entire life feeling this way. So, as much as your words are a fresh breath of air, it's one thing to hear them, but it's another thing to entirely to internalize them. I'll be with you for as long as it takes. She closes her eyes and squeezes my hands. Saying that means more than you could ever imagine. Anyway, the sound of my stomach loudly gurgling fills the room. Wow, amazing timing as ever, Midas. I'm sorry. It's okay. I suppose this is a good time to go and make some food, don't you think? Are you sure? Yes, I think a return to normalcy would do us good. Okay, I guess that makes sense. I did find a dish online a few days ago that I wanted to try. Do you have any daikon by any chance? I wouldn't even know where to start with cooking a daikon radish. I'll take that as a no, then. I think the grocery store has some. Lead the way. Oh, we're going out. Cool. By the way, Midas. Thank you for listening to me. It was daunting to share my self-harm with another person. After bottling up for so long, I was scared of how would you react. I didn't say the wrong thing, did I? No, of course not. You've been really understanding, but most importantly, accepting. And that's what I love about you. How tolerant you are. And many other things. Well, I rubbed the back of my head in embarrassment. Yuri smiled specially at me. Sorry, I'll stop embarrassing you now. Let's go.